If you were in charge of the Philadelphia sports landscape, the Philadelphia sports franchises, you could only make one change. You became commissioner of all four Philly teams. You can make one change. What would it be? What would you do to fix this Philadelphia sports scene right now? Obviously, riding high with the Eagles, but some question marks with the other three teams. That's a question. I got some other interesting questions to get into today. Trending in the AM, talking all things Philadelphia Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, whatever you want to talk about. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter. Make sure you do me that favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and please hit subscribe as we continue to grow this great channel. Again, like, share, subscribe. Somehow in the last 5 minutes, we lost a subscriber, so we are down to 517 subscribers to start this show, so please do your best, guys, to share it out. It's free. It's free to support a local content creator. It's free to turn the dial off and listen to Trending in the AM every single morning. So tell one, tell all. Tell everybody out there, this is the number one morning show in Philadelphia. And a very good morning, everybody. I'm Phil Stiefel every morning, right here live, 8 a.m. And I got some things I want to talk about today. I think a fun little topic to kick the show off is, what would you change if you could just make one change to make a Philadelphia sports team elite again, or at least have a chance? I mean, it's hard to pick one thing from all the teams, so we're going to cover all the changes that need to happen amongst these Philadelphia sports teams. But how do you make one change, and what would it be? So that's on the agenda today. Kyle Schwarber, hot topic lately with his contract extension. Still not done, still a free agent at the end of the year. What to do with Kyle Schwarber? I want to bring that up. Obviously, a lot of talk yesterday about Eagles Mount Rushmore, so I'm going to bring in some thoughts on that. Some other Eagles odds and ends. The Flyers get the 6th pick in the draft lottery. Does the Flyers ending up with the 6th pick scare you for the NBA draft lottery next week? Maybe just a little bit. We'll see. Good morning, Duck. How you doing today? Right off the bat, already the Eagles are elite. Phillies need to throw in a few more small ball. New coach. Sixers, new ownership. I put this out there on Twitter yesterday. What one change amongst all our Philadelphia sports teams would you do? And the most common answer wasn't fire Daryl Morey or fire Rob Thompson or sign this player or trade this player. The number one answer to this question on Twitter yesterday was get new ownership for the Sixers. And I love that everybody's on the same page with that right there. And I hope someone like Josh Harris might feel the pressure from the Philadelphia sports fan base. Good morning, Adam. How you doing? That's right. Aim higher. I haven't said aim higher in a long time. Got to start remembering to put that on the hashtag there. I am so high from Cinco, really? I mean, I had one beer and I had a Chipotle burrito yesterday. That was my Cinco de Mayo yesterday. Good morning, Rick. How you doing? I hope you are well. I think I would blame the liberal media for what? Being high? New ownership for the – so you're putting new ownership for the Flyers, Rick, ahead of the ownership for the Sixers. I don't know. I have to kind of lean that Sixers ownership is a little bit more of an issue than the Flyers ownership. Maybe by a hair. At least the Flyers make firings and make changes when time is due. The Sixers ownership just leaves it big and doesn't change a thing. But with the Flyers name being mentioned, I'm going to say it again, the Flyers were the 4th best odds to get the number 1 overall pick in the NHL lottery. They ended up with the 6th, falling back 2 spots, bringing up rumors again that the NHL and NBA lottery system is rigged. does the Flyers falling back 2 spots scare Sixers fans that they ain't getting that draft pick? Because let me tell you something. They're not getting that draft pick. I didn't do crap for Cinco. I had leftover pot pies. I don't know if leftover pot pies is good. Leftover fried chicken can't be that good. Flyers missed the playoffs 8 of the last 11 seasons. At least the Sixers were in the playoffs. Yeah, I get that, Rick. They've tried, though, the Flyers, to make the changes. I mean, we've been through a few coaches in that stretch. The last couple years of losing was pre-planned losing, so to speak, whereas, the Flyers have said that they were in a rebuild and they were trying to make changes, whereas the Sixers keep trying to shove it down our throat that they're still a contending team, and they're doing the same thing again this offseason. That with a top draft pick, we'll be fine. We'll tweak the roster. We'll be right back there next year. So at least the Flyers' message matches the story that is the Flyers' last few seasons. What the Sixers tell you and what they actually do are two totally different things. So that's why I think it's the transparency from the organizations why I have less of an issue with the Flyers than the Sixers at this point. Now, I will say this offseason is critical that they nail the right head coach, i.e. not Rick Tocchet. It's important that they get a very good draft pick, maybe all that draft capital and move up into the top 3 of the NHL draft, maybe move from 6 to 2 or 3 to get the best player that they possibly can to help take this team to the next level. But this is my last offseason, Rick, of giving the Flyers any leeway until I start criticizing them heavily on this show and others. New owners for the Sixers, new Phillies coach and president. Adam, yes. I only said you could choose one, Adam. Do you want the Sixers owner gone, or do you want the Phillies coach gone, or the Phillies general manager president gone? You can't have all of it. I mean, you can. You can hope for all of it. I'm just telling you, you're supposed to pick one. The Wonder Dogs need new management, too. I would have to ask Cole, intern Cole on that one. I have no idea. Didn't even know the Wonder Dogs were still a thing. Put that fried chicken in the air fryer and you are set almost. What's funny? I had an air fryer duck. We got it after we got married. It was an old air fryer. It sat in a closet for 12 years, 15 years, never getting used. So I put up in the marketplace, sold it for $25. And ever since I've sold that thing, now I seem to have a need for an air fryer all the time. It's like, where was all these ideas to use the air fryer when I had it? And I just never used it. All lotteries are rigged. American sports you consider relegation like European soccer does. That's a bit extreme, I guess. But yes, the draft lotteries in both the NBA and the NHL. How can you convince me that they're not rigged? Honestly, I don't think anybody can make an argument that they're not. The only way you could do that, and even that I don't know if it would be, is to do the lottery live. Not reveal the results, but literally do it live. Flyers are still in the midst of their 15-year rebuild. 15 years, it's about 2010. I'm trying to think of those playoff series and those last couple deep playoff runs the Flyers made. Yeah, it's been that long. I'm telling you, the Wells Fargo Center is pathetic sometimes for Flyers games over the last couple of years. And I get it. Maybe this year was a little bit better with Mitchkoff around. But, yeah, I mean, look, I get it, Rick. The Flyers are no gold standard, so to say, of sports organizations at all. I just feel like the current product with the Flyers is getting the benefit of the doubt from me and their fan base just because they're being transparent. Now, 5-10 years ago, were they being transparent? No. 5-10 years ago, they were just terrible. Now, right now, this current crop, this is it. The whole point of the process with the Sixers was to get certain stars, the James Harden trade in the offseason, whatever. It didn't work out, so they come under scrutiny. The whole part of this current Flyers rebuild is about this offseason and making a run, starting to make runs next year. They're on the clock. The Flyers are literally and figuratively on the clock with the draft, but also with the fan base. Can you do that you could put anything in an air fryer, K1, anything. If the Flyers fail to hire Sullivan as their next head coach, they will have sank the franchise. I don't know if Sullivan's definitely the answer or not. He's on the list of people. The only one I know is not the answer is Rick Tocchet. That's the only thing right there. Flyers already have a good core. If they could find a goalie, we've been looking for a goalie for 50 years, though, Anthony. That's the problem. That is the big problem. They have not figured out the goalie situation. And somebody told me the other day, and I didn't know this was true, and I made them send me a screenshot as proof. I was talking about Trey Turner and how it's one of the 3 worst contracts in Philadelphia sports right now. And somebody said, no, Ilya Brizgalov is the worst contract in Philly sports right now. I'm like, dude, Ilya Brizgalov, Briz, humongous big world universe, was like a decade ago. Did you know the Flyers are still playing Ilya Brizgalov? He's got this year, and I think next year, a little over $1 million+ on their cap. Like, that's insane to me. A guy that hasn't played here in 10 years. It's worse than the Bobby Bonilla situation. Sixers new owners. Yeah, Josh Harris has got to go. I mean, he's not going to go. But it's so hard to force an owner out. Let me tell you something. It would be my top choice too, Adam, for sure. Slice is too big for my air fryer, but I put that on a dry frying pan and put a drop. You got to put a couple drops of hot water when you're reheating the pizza. That's how you got to do it. You can't just put it there. You got to put the drops of water to get it nice and crispy. Yeah, I can't believe they're still paying Ilya Brizgalov. But yeah, the people in the Flyers organization right now weren't the same ones that gave out that contract, or some of the bad decisions that were made 10, 12 years ago that have put us in this tailspin of constantly losing. And so the Flyers get that pass from me for one more year. One more year. That's it. After that, the Flyers are on the clock, in my mind, as a criticizable franchise. The Phillies can be criticized. The Sixers absolutely can be criticized. Hell, you can make an argument to criticize the Eagles at times. Not right now, but you could. There's literally almost nothing that I would change about the Eagles. But Flyers are getting that pass right now. How is air fryer different from an oven? Just the way it's cooked. It took the NFL almost 4 years to get rid of Snyder, and he still made a fortune in the process. Yeah, absolutely. We're a long ways away from Josh Harris not being a part of Philadelphia sports culture, at least till the new stadium gets built, and he makes some of that money. Then maybe he moves on. How many more years is that, Bobby? I don't know. Adam, I don't know. It was like 750 years worth of payments to him. The polar ice cap is going to be fully melted before Bobby Bonilla's contract's up. That asteroid that might hit Earth is going to hit Earth before Bobby Bonilla's contract's up. What flavor wings does Fox's Pizza Den have? We're jumping right into the food questions here today. Hot, mild, barbecue, sweet and spicy, garlic parmesan, lemon pepper, and garlic teriyaki. Barbecue's my favorite. That are basically a small convection oven. Do you want to heat a whole oven? Exactly. What's up, Peanut? How you doing? We went from the Delco dumper to the air fryer usage. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this show is Trending in the AM. Trending in the AM, a sports show on a sports network. And we talk about road rage dumpsters and air fryers. Who knew we do those kind of things? Lemon pepper pizza. I've never put the lemon pepper on a pizza before. Interesting. A little grilled chicken chopped up, and season the chicken with lemon pepper. What else? Maybe a little, I don't know about bacon with lemon pepper. Well, bacon goes good. Maybe bacon, onion, lemon pepper chicken. Maybe garlic butter versus red pizza sauce on it. Yeah, interesting. Bobby Bonilla, Mets contract is done in 35. I think the asteroid is due in 31. So, yeah, literally, I was right. The asteroid might hit. Phillies win 4 of the next 6 on this road trip. I would love to talk about the Phillies in this road trip. They obviously got 3 against the Rays starting tonight, 3 against the Guardians after that this upcoming weekend. I would like to see this. Now, you thought we were going to have a sweep last week. Didn't happen, but I want to talk about this road trip and how important it is. Yeah, Mitchie Poo, I don't know how. I woke up this morning at 7:30. I was at 518 subscribers. At 8 o'clock, I went down 1. Somebody unsubscribed in the matter of 30 minutes, which is annoying. So please like, share, subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it. But we will get back to this Phillies series in a second. You have to disclose if your car has been dumped on. I don't know. I had a big breakfast. I made a big egg sandwich this morning. Is Hungry Howie's not what? I don't know. Lemon pepper chicken with a cilantro bake. It then toss a little more cilantro. I love cilantro, by the way. I don't cook with much of it. My wife hates cilantro. So the Phillies series. Rick is saying we're going to take 4 out of 6 over the next 2 Phillies series. And I think it's important, Rick. Very important that they do this. Because the Phillies are this close to hooking this city back in. This close to getting a little bit of momentum and edge to them. Yes, there's still issues with Alec Bohm. There's still issues in center field. There's obviously major issues with the bullpen. But they're still, as they have over the years, they're still winning more than they're losing despite all the hiccups, all the problems, all the issues with this team. Now, there are things that need to be done to make this team go from really good to great. But continuing to win series, which a 4-6 weekend would mean they continue to do that. How do they continue to build upon these issues or this team and this winning so that it's weird. Like, I'm afraid if they build too much on it, it's going to mask the holes that will come back to bite them come the playoffs. But I also want them to keep winning. I want to make sure we keep winning, but don't lose sight of the fact of the issues that this team has come playoff time. Chicken Bacon Ranch, yeah, I love it. I love it. Oh, so we got that one lost subscriber back. Yay. Make sure we're hitting that like button, that share. There's like 17 people watching in YouTube right now. Just dropped to 13. There should be at least 15 likes on this video, guys, for sure. Bullpen is coming around. I don't know about that. There are still little to zero confidence in the bullpen from me. Otto Kemp going to force his way onto this team. I think that's a very, very tough, interesting, debatable idea, Rick. You got a couple options here with Otto Kemp, who's obviously, I don't know if they played last night. I know after Sunday he had 10 home runs, was hitting over 300 in AAA. You got Alec Bohm at third base. Obviously, struggling massively. Otto Kemp's tearing the cover off the ball in AAA. We all know Rob Thompson won't fully bench Alec Bohm for Otto Kemp. So do you keep Otto Kemp in AAA, playing every day, maybe learning a new position, maybe you can start teaching him left field? Do you put Otto Kemp in AAA, leave him there, learn new things, and just keep tearing the cover off the ball? Or do you bring him up here and play him every third day? Because at best, knowing Rob Thompson and what he does with younger players, Otto Kemp comes up here, he's going to play every third game, every fourth game. Tough right-handed pitcher, going to sit the bench. And that could throw off this momentum of Otto Kemp. The other part of Otto Kemp came into the season like our 26th or 27th ranked prospect in our minor league system. But he's going to very fast go up that list. We don't need a third baseman. I mean, you also have Aiden Miller in the pipeline. You got Trey Turner here for the next 400 years. You got Bryson Stott. Otto Kemp is a bona fide trade chip right now. So do you bring him up here, risk stalling that ascension he's having at this point in his career by only playing him every third or fourth game? Or do you leave him in AAA and continue to build that trade value? Otto Kemp could be a key piece to a team for a closer in the next month. He's going to lose that value if he comes up here and plays every fourth day. Just some theories there on Otto Kemp. They are who we thought they were. Absolutely true. What's up, Peanut? Hope you're well this morning. Phillies should invest in younger players, focus on adding a few small ball specials with good on-base percentage. That fixes the problem. Get one good steady arm into the middle relief. That will hide the problem. They definitely need to get younger. And the Phillies getting younger, Duck, is part of a very interesting conversation I had on Twitter yesterday afternoon and into the evening. And that is Kyle Schwarber. Everyone keeps talking about how Kyle Schwarber needs to get an extension, et cetera. Kyle Schwarber is 33 years old. Kyle Schwarber is probably the best, most consistent hitter on the Phillies. He obviously leads the NL. I don't know if all of MLB yet, but he leads the NL with 11 home runs. At least he did going into last night. Kyle Schwarber is a vital part of this team, probably the closest thing to a leader the Phillies have. But this Phillies team is getting very old very fast. And you've got a lot of big contracts. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. Contracts that the guys might not be super old now, but they're going to be super old when those contracts get to the back end of them. Kyle Schwarber's 33. Still mashing. Kyle Schwarber is going to get a 4 to 5 year contract on the free agent market, okay? Which would put him 37, 38 years old, 39 years old at the end of that contract. Can the Phillies really afford to have another old, aging player locked up for the next 5 years? I don't even care about the money. He's going to get $30, $35 million a year, whatever. The Phillies are an old baseball team. They are no longer the daycare. They got way too many contracts that will mature at a point where they're going to look awful at the end. Plus, Kyle Schwarber's a DH, nothing else. Should never be in left field. You also got other guys with older contracts that should be DHs. There's an argument to be made that Kyle Schwarber does not get an extension because you got to get younger. There's an argument to be made. If the Phillies go on a bad losing tear and are not looking like World Series contenders, you trade Kyle Schwarber at the trade deadline. There's an argument for that. I don't want to, but there's an argument for it. Phillies top 4 in on-base percentage. Yeah, I know their on-base percentage is pretty high this year. Start studying how Howie Roseman lives his life. We all should. Travis, Howie Roseman needs to be made commissioner of Philadelphia sports. Like, he runs the Eagles, but he's in charge of the GMs of the other teams. That's what I would want. Still waiting to see what happens with Dallas Goedert. K1, you're not going to see anything with Dallas Goedert until June 1st. Because that's when those salary cap or dead cap hits change for players post June 1st. Or other teams can cut guys to free up the cap space to make a move for Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert didn't get traded yet. Now you are going to wait till post June 1st for that. I still think there's a chance they trade him. There's a chance they cut him. I think there's really equal chances. It's not like one way or another is, in my mind, leading the pack with Dallas Goedert. I think they're trying to trade him. I think they're trying to renegotiate. And if neither of those things happen, then they're going to cut him. Phillies have the third worst bullpen and second worst team defense. Can't win like that. But defense didn't matter. Isn't that what the Phillies have always told us? Defense doesn't matter. Hence, Alec Bohm, Castellanos, throwing out Kyle Schwarber a couple times in left field. Yeah. Schwarber is tied for second in the league with 11 home runs. Gotcha. Guess that changed last night. I know it's crazy. It's absolutely insane to talk about trading Kyle Schwarber. I know it is. But something needs to change. Something needs to be shocked. You need those little paddles. Clear! And shock him back. Unless Goddard redoes his contract completely, he's probably going to be released or play out the final. He's not playing out the final year as constructed of his contract. They might find a Josh Sweat type extension like the Eagles did last year, Duck. But he's not playing on the current deal. Maybe they restructure it, and put less upfront money and more incentives in it. But Dallas Goedert, as signed through 2025, is not playing. Zero chance. It can't happen before June 1st at this point now. Dallas always stinks. Howie might make a trade with the Raiders. This rumor, Rick, has been bouncing around for like 2 months now, right? And I know Michael Mayer had a bad year last year because they drafted Brock Bowers. What's that say about the Raiders? You draft Michael Mayer in the second round, and then the next year draft Brock Bowers in the first round. Who drafts 2 top-end tight ends that quick? So I know Mayer didn't have good numbers last year, but his rookie year without Brock Bowers, he didn't have great numbers either. He had like 22, 23 catches. He's a nice developmental project for a tight end. He's the kind of guy that Howie would target, a young top-end draft pick that's not working out in a city. But realistically, is Michael Mayer that much better than Grant Calcaterra? A little bit, maybe. The potential says there is. The pedigree from college says there might be. And I know the Raiders have been dreadful at quarterback, but I would rather use any asset you trade for Michael Mayer to save or to fix the edge or do whatever. Dallas Goedert, I'd like to see him stay. He probably won't be here, but I don't think moving for Michael Mayer fixes losing Dallas Goedert. It kind of sucks walking back in the locker room and Avonte Maddox ain't there. Yeah, Dallas Goedert did lose his best buddy in the whole wide, best friends in the whole wide world, Travis. I know, but it's a business. Don't look now, Phil, but June 1st is right around the corner. I know. It's May 6th right now. June 1st is right around the corner. And that means summer's around the corner. It means golf season's kicking into high gear. I got a couple tee times lined up over the next couple of weeks. If they trade Schwarber, then they could trade Harper too. You could trade anybody as long as they don't have a no-trade clause. I don't actually know if Kyle Schwarber has a no-trade clause or not. I know Harper has a no-trade clause, so he'd have to approve any deal. And I'm not suggesting the Phillies trade Schwarber. I'm saying if the Phillies go on like a huge losing streak and are 25-30 at the deadline or something like that, then sure, you try to cash that ticket in. But I'm also not in the room of giving Kyle Schwarber a 4 or 5 year extension, $30 million a year. I'm just not. I think that money could go elsewhere to get younger. The Raiders are not trading for Mayer, or not trading Mayer. If the Raiders want Goddard, they will just want it out for his release. Yeah, no. The Raiders aren't trading Mayer for Goddard, but the rumor was that the Raiders don't want Goddard anyway. Okay? They've got Brock Bowers. That's their tight end. The Goddard goes one team, and the Eagles bring in Mayer from the Raiders. Phillies 7-3-1 in series, top 8 in batting average, top 4 OBS, top 4 with runners on, top 8 with those runners on and runners in scoring position numbers sound so fake. They're not, I know, Rick, but they also sound so fake because they come up so small in so many big moments. All these numbers show you one key thing, that the bullpen is just atrocious, Rick. The Phillies might have a couple more wins if we would adjust the bullpen a little bit better this offseason. Calcaterra gets no love, and he is a Paisan. Look, Greg Calcaterra is a good number 2. Probably can't start or can't be your number 1 unless you've got – Calcaterra's a great number 1 when you've got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, and as Jeffrey Lurie put it yesterday, a resurrected fullback position. I love that. Howie Roseman goes on the radio for the first time in like 25 years and says, we are resurrecting the fullback position. Gotta love that. Phil, that is an analytic thing. You take the best player regardless of position. Personally, I think it's silly to draft a player at a position that is already strong. Yeah, I totally get it. Why they did it or the reasoning behind why they did it, but that's where you don't do that. That's where you trade back or trade up for somebody else. That's where you go. That's where you close the computer and do something different. And that's the problem. Analytics run too many sports franchises. And that's when they make mistakes and end up with 2 top-end tight ends. Not all doom and gloom for our fights. Look, I'm very positive. We did a show yesterday how I'm almost hooked back in. They got a few things to do to prove to me. That is not all doom and gloom. Number 1, the priority is that bullpen. Number 2 can be Rob Thompson leaving Bryson Stott in the leadoff spot every game despite whoever the starter is. Bryson Stott will never get better against left-handed pitching if you don't give him a chance. Dallas will try and sign Goddard the second he's released so JJ can say he pissed on Howie's shoes and got what he wanted. Yeah, let him do that. Let him do that, right? Eagles aren't trading Goddard for Mayer. No, we're not. No one said they're trading Goddard for Mayer, okay? No one's saying that. It's 2 separate transactions. The Raiders want to get away from Mayer because they don't need him. He's a luxury. The Eagles need to get off of Goddard because of the contract. The Raiders aren't looking at Goddard. 2 separate things going on with Goddard and Mayer. Flyers have picked 6, 24, and 25 in the first round, plus 4 picks in the second round. Danny Briere needs to channel his inner Howie. Yeah. So I don't know, Freddie Defo, how hockey draft picks valued compared to football, say. But when you've got all that, Does 625 and 1 second-round pick get you to pick 3? Like, what do you got to get or give to get, say, pick 3 or pick 2? How much of this? And I don't even know who I want in the NHL draft. I don't even know what the order is of the rankings of the players realistically. I see all the rumored from bloggers and stuff like that. I just want to know how comparing the NHL draft picks value to the NFL draft picks. So I'm thinking in the NFL, you got all this. You've got 7 picks in the first 2 rounds. It's not going to take all 7 to move up in the top 3, to move up 3 spots, 4 spots. It's going to take 4 of those picks, maybe, and then you can still add more depth with whatever else you got. Calcaterra is only tight end 1 if the fullback is in there for the play, because unless he's gotten substantial. Yeah, exactly. Well, remember, Dallas Goedert wasn't always a great blocker when he first came into the league. He got better over time at it. Calcaterra hasn't yet. It's Calcaterra entering his 3rd year, right? So it's a big prove-it year for Grant Calcaterra. Flyers need to get the best defenseman in the draft. If they need to trade up, then do it. Am I loving the return of the fullback position? Oh, and I'm loving the and more that Tyrod. I'm thinking that we might have some 2 fullback sets this year when the tush push gets canceled, because it's getting canceled. They're going to go out there and they're going to line up Ben Van Sumeren, Ty Robinson, and Saquon Barkley all in the backfield with 6 offensive linemen, and that's just how they're going to run the tush push. They're just going to let those 2 guys just plow forward. It's something that I love. It's something that excites me, because the fullback and what do you call the formation with the 2 fullbacks? I forget. It's smash mouth football, Freddie. And who doesn't love smash? Like, I know it's a passing league, and the casuals want more passing touchdowns and more 50-yard bombs and 3-point shots. I want defense. I want smash mouth play. I want this. I want that. That just made me think of something totally unrelated. Got to write that down there for a second. We'll get to that. Smash mouth football. Bring it back. We're not just reinventing and resurrecting the fullback position. We're resurrecting smash mouth in your face football. The wishbone. That's what it's called. The wishbone is the name I was thinking. The Eagles are going to bring the wishbone back. That's why Ben Van Summer is our cheat code. And he moved his number to a fullback running back number. He caught a pass out of the backfield last year too, K1. So he can do that too. Smile Mondin will take over his linebacker role on special teams. Ben Van Summer is entrenched as the fullback, without a doubt. Imagine if Briere would have had the marbles and fired torch after last season. We would have Cutter. Then we'd have 2 of the top 5 scorers. I don't know. Was Cutter 100%? I mean, Cutter did a little too much trash talking on Philly for me to hope that he would have been back or stay. I don't know. I just got such a bad taste in my mouth because of Cutter. But yeah, he should have been fired. Ben Van Summer is going to get more fullback time. He's not going to get more fullback time. He's going to get all his time at fullback. He is not making this roster unless he's making this roster as a fullback, Rick. There's too much depth now in the interior linebacker core. Ben Van Summer won't get any linebacker snaps unless there's a devastating string of injuries. Robinson will be a monster next to Carter. If either of them get double teamed, the other will definitely make the quarterback sweat. Yeah. I agree. But I also want to see him as a fullback, too. Morning, Stephen Fuentes. How you doing? I'm with you on the bullpen. I'd be happy if there was designated roles in the bullpen. Yeah, look, I'm very old school, Stephen. I think a closer should be the closer, not a high leverage guy. I think the 8th inning guy needs to stay the Lidge, Madsen, J.C. Romero. Your 7th, 8th, 9th inning guy every day. That's what you need. That's what bullpen pitchers, that's what relief pitchers want. They want to know when that phone rings in the 6th inning, whether it's for them or not. They want to know that when the 9th inning comes calling, that's their time. They want to mentally be able to prepare. They're creatures of habit. This bouncing around leverage situations, it doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work for a lot of bullpens. Hockey drafts are a little tougher than the NFL. You could build a team in the NFL draft beginning to end. Not many players in the NHL draft after round 2 get past the AHL. And I don't know that, Freddie, and I don't. So maybe in the NHL, it costs you more to move up in the draft than in the NFL. So you've got 7 picks in the first 2 rounds. How many of those picks, Freddie, is it going to take to get pick 2 or 3? You could probably take both first-round picks or all 3 of the first-round picks. Can you save all your second-round picks and just trade 6, 24, and 25 to get to 3 or 2? Is that enough? Does anybody else have as much capital as we do to move up that they can outbid us? Van Sumeren played fullback at Michigan before trades. Absolutely, I do remember that. Reportedly has the best hands on the team. That I didn't hear that rumor, but that's pretty hilariously sick and crazy. One play this year, one of the OT, they will cycle into left tackle, and Mailata will play. I've been asking for Jordan Mailata at running back since the day he was drafted. Since the day I saw the rugby highlights for the first time, I've been asking for a Jordan Mailata, refrigerator Perry-esque handoff. Same thing with Jordan Davis as well. Eagles should have Army come in during training camp to learn the flexbone triple offense. Do they still run that? Oh, that's hilarious. Yes, absolutely. 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 Ben Van Sumeren was recruited by Harbaugh as a tight end, but the room was too crowded. So he played fullback at Michigan, but he was recruited as a tight end. Look at this. We don't need a Michael Mayer. We've already he's going to be a tight end / fullback on this team. Who needs Grant Calcaterra when Ben Van Sumeren can play tight end? Bring in Air Force for the Veer. And you might as well bring in the Mighty Ducks for the Flying V, too, if we're just going to bring in all these other teams to teach our teams how to do things like that. Sure. Why not? Why not? But, yeah, back to the Phillies for a second. To talk about Rick and how positive he is about the Phillies. And I get it, because I want to be positive like that. And I'm getting closer every series we win to at least giving them the benefit of the doubt till October. But you see these little things, like the bullpen, like Rob Thompson constantly bringing in Alvarado for second innings of work when you know it's not going to work, sitting Bryson Stott when you know he's your best option. Does all that not matter? If they could just go out and get 2 more bullpen arms, if they can go out and find a way to bring in 2 legit players for the bullpen, does that solve everything? Does the offense work itself out? Will the talent on offense eventually be good enough to carry us? Starting pitching is what starting pitching is. It's great for the Philadelphia Phillies. You don't need to trade for a starting pitcher at this point. You still have Andrew Painter waiting in the wings, waiting for mid-July for his chance to come up. You need relief pitching, and not just one. You need a legit closer. And there's a couple names I've seen floated around out there. You need a legit closer, and you need another mid-inning guy. I'm not hoping Orion Kirkgreen figures it out. I'm not hoping Corky Romano figures it out. I don't want to see some of these guys out there on a regular basis. You want to use Jose Alvarado in the high leverage situations, great, do it. But go get me a legit closer to pair with him. So he can come in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, get the big out, and then you have a legit closer in the 9th. That's what you got to do. The Phillies will have 2 more slumps at some point this season because they always have 2-3 slumps a season. It's a cycle of violence with this fan base. Yes. Hopefully Nebraska adds to the bullpen arms we need, but I don't have a ton of confidence in Nebraska. And that's the problem. For as much as I criticize Rob Thompson, Rick, as much as I criticize the Phillies hitters being inconsistent, as much as I criticize the bullpen usage, Alvarado for second innings, what is Rob Thompson supposed to do? If anything, Dave Dombrowski has been the most disappointing part of the Phillies organization over the last couple years that he's been here. Dave Dombrowski needs to find his aggressive shoe, his aggressive hat he used to wear in Detroit and elsewhere. He's got to find that. find the cojones to make that big, bold move. Whatever it may be. It's set up for a significant trade. The assets are finally there. Look, Mick Abel, Phillies minor league pitcher of the month, guy that was a hot shot prospect, fell off, is back on. We don't have a need for Mick Abel. Move him finally. Move Otto Kemp. Move whoever. You find a taker for Alec Boehm at this point and bring up Otto Kemp instead? Good morning, little G. Hope you're better. Hope you're doing great today. Meanwhile, Phillies have won 3 straight series in 7. I know the numbers, Rick. I know the numbers. And they are winning despite the hiccups that this team has in the bullpen with some of the lineup and stuff like that. They're winning despite that. And I'm still staying with my whatever I predicted. 92 wins or whatever I predicted. I forget. I have to go back in my notes. What did I pick? 92 wins, 93 wins? I forget. I have to fact check that to see how many wins I predicted for this Phillies team. I'm not even sure off the top of my head. I still think they'll win that many games. They will still be a wild card team. The problem is, winning 92 games doesn't mean anything. Making the playoffs doesn't mean anything anymore for the Phillies. This team has been built and been sold on the fact that they're World Series contenders. And these issues that the team has, the same issues they had last year and the year before that, and those issues reared their ugly head in the playoffs every single time. This team just isn't good enough this year, sadly. They can fix the holes in the lineup, the bullpen, and defense during the season. Look, I think this team is good enough to still win 90-plus games, Anthony, despite everything. Despite everything wrong with this team, they are still a damn good baseball team. They just don't have it. I saw the other day, and I wrote it down. Pops up every so often on my feed. The Kyle Schwarber ejection. When he got ejected by Angel Hernandez, I think it was in 2022. The ball was way outside. It got called strike 3. He argued it, got thrown out of the game. When was the last time we saw that kind of emotion and fight and energy from the Phillies? When? I forget what happened on Saturday or Sunday. It was an overturn when JT Realmuto got called out going to third base, I think, but the bag was blocked, and they overturned it, but they didn't call the blocked bag. And Rob Thompson went out to argue the play, and he just went out there, went like this, and the ump just turned around and turned his back on Rob Thompson, and Rob Thompson just shrugged his shoulders and walked back to the locker or dugout. Like, fight. When was the last time we saw an explosion like Kyle Schwarber against Angel Hernandez? It just doesn't happen. They don't have it. Should Dave trade some of the prospects to get some big-time players? Yeah, they absolutely do. There's no point in not trying to win now, Adam. This team is not getting any younger. This team's window is not getting any bigger. Dave Dombrowski needs to be very, and honestly, we don't need to wait till July 31st in the trade deadline. Dombrowski should be trying to be aggressive now while he still can. The only wins that matter are the 16 and 19 in October and November. The 16 and 19. Yeah, that's all that matters. And I've said it before. This Phillies team is built to win 90 out of 162 games. Is it built to win 4 out of 7 come October or November? That's the question you have to ask yourself. No, they should not. This is not a World Series contender, so no point in trading away top. Prospects are just that. Prospects are useless. Prospects are chips at a poker table, Anthony. This Phillies team is closer to being a World Series contender than we are willing to admit. You get 2 great bullpen pieces. Maybe find a center fielder or a third baseman. This team can win a World Series. There's still plenty of talent on this team. Sadly, Dombrowski doesn't have it anymore. The game seemed, and honestly, Rick, I've dabbled with this thought in my mind. Dombrowski may not have evolved with the game. And, when Pat Gillick came here from Toronto, he made some great moves. Got us the World Series. the game hadn't passed him by yet. Dombrowski, on the other hand, it has. Maybe he's lost his cojones to make maybe he's had these opportunities to make trades, and he's just lost the ability to pull the trigger. Can't pull the trigger anymore. Phillies with a few good tweaks to the roster can win the World Series. They are not a bad team. They still got the best, one of, if not the best starting rotation in baseball. You still got multiple perennial all-star players on this team. You've got a former MVP on this team. Bryce Harper is going to break out of his slump very soon. Maybe did on Sunday with the home run. Phillies are a very good baseball team. They're just not a great team. Phillies need to move Harper to left field, trade a center, Sosa to short, Wilson to first, bring up Otto-Kemp to third. Well, that's a lot of moving around. First off, it's a lot of moving around right there. A lot of moving around. So who's playing? Oh, Sosa. First off, Sosa's not an everyday player. Okay, Steven, I'm going to say it. Sosa is not an everyday player. Okay. Harper to left field. Harper's turned into a really good first baseman. Why does everybody want to move Harper away from first base back to the outfield and risk that arm getting hurt again? Weston Wilson is not an everyday player. He's a bench bat. I know he had a nice, cool home run, 3-run home run. It was a bomb on a hanger on Sunday. And bringing Otto-Kemp up, I've said it before earlier in the show. You bring him Otto-Kemp, Rob Thompson will not play him every day. Rob Thompson will do what Rob Thompson does, play the veterans and occasionally squeeze in the young guys. If you have Otto-Kemp and Alec Boehm on this team, if you have Otto-Kemp hitting 300 and Alec Boehm hitting 200, I still guarantee Alec Boehm gets more at-bats than Otto-Kemp. Just going to happen. Absolutely agree, too. I'll put it up again. Front office and coach are not doing. Yeah, they are missing a few things, and that will get them over the hump. And the front office and coach are not do it. Unfortunately, there are also 5 other teams in the NL in the same position. Yeah, absolutely agree. So things are going to cost money. You want to trade for a top-end bullpen arm, you're going to have to spend. With the expanded roster, playoffs and stuff like that, everybody's in contention by the deadline still. So you got to be bold and aggressive. Something that Dave Dombrowski wasn't afraid to do in the past, Nooms. So why is he afraid to do it now? Exactly. Name me one prospect that we traded in that 2007 to 2012 run that turned out to be a superstar. The best of the best that we traded away was probably Carlos Carrasco. And he was better because of his story of overcoming cancer than his actual play on the field. I mean, we didn't give up not one guy that became a superstar stud. I probably said this at least 10 times before. This team needs a Dutch, a leader who will ride up the – absolutely. I said it before that this team, Freddie, lacks leadership. There is no leadership. And there's also a clear distinction between how Rob Thompson leads and Nick Sirianni leads with the Eagles. Nick Sirianni holds people accountable. Rob Thompson pulls them aside and says, I talked to him. And that's it. And nothing changes. If you don't have a Dutch on your team, just remember that 93 team had Dutch and Lenny Dykstra and John Kruk, but then also had Jim Fregosi as well. Big difference, this team. You got a lot of superstars on the Phillies, but not one of the superstars is a leader, a real true leader. You don't have a Jalen Hurts type on this team or a Brandon Graham on this team. You just don't. The Phillies and the Sixers are void of leaders on their rosters. A few years from now, when Crawford and Painter are both all-stars, people are screaming about trading them for nothing. Anthony, we said the same thing about Don Brown, Michael Taylor, Lou Marson, Jesse Biddle, Kyle Drabeck. I'm trying to think. The list goes on and on. We said all the same things. Don Brown was untouchable. Michael Taylor, untouchable outfielder before Don Brown. Had 4 career at-bats in the major leagues when we eventually finally traded him. Andrew Painter already had Tommy John surgery once. Now, Andrew Painter is a special breed. You don't trade him for anything. And you maybe or maybe not were watching the show 2 seasons ago. Not this past off-season or trade deadline, the trade deadline before that, when there was like about a week's time frame where Shohei Ohtani was available. And I was like, I don't care if it's a rental. I'm trading Andrew Painter right now for Shohei Ohtani. Y'all laughed at me. We'll probably win the World Series in 23 if Shohei Ohtani's on this team. You ain't going to be worried about these prospects if you trade them and we win a World Series. Now, Justin Crawford is my favorite hitting prospect in our minor league system right now. More than Aiden Miller. I think Crawford's got it to be a very legit center fielder. But you know what? If trading Crawford gives me a World Series, done. No hesitation. Andrew Friedman has the most resources to work with, and it's that guy, that Dombrowski. I don't know if Dombrowski can outfox anybody. Robbie won't play Otto Kemp every day. Exactly. He does. You got to trade Otto Kemp now while his value's at its peak. Don't even wait a month and a half till the trade deadline and risk him going into a slump. He's already, 25? He'll be 26 later this year. Otto Kemp's a late bloomer. You get rid of him. Darren Ruff, Tommy Joseph. Before the wheels fall off, get something for Otto Kemp. I like the Darren Ruff comparison right there. I do. I really, really like that comparison right there. But again, continue. Somebody find me a prospect that had the height that we traded. I mean, we might have one in the next year or two in Logan O'Hoppe, who is actually playing pretty well for the Angels. At least he started the year. I don't know if he still is. Started the year pretty hot. Logan O'Hoppe might be the first one. The first one that we traded away that actually panned out. But we traded away Logan O'Hoppe more so because he was blocked by JT Realmuto than anything else. And now JT Realmuto is coming up to the end of his contract and coming up to the end of his, best days are behind him kind of thing. And you don't have that replacement for him now. Again, it's better. And this is why the Kyle Schwarber, I'm okay moving on from him after a year. It's better to move on from somebody 1 year too soon than 2 years too late. Derek Hall, I think he's still in the minor league system. He may have gotten hurt. I remember seeing something about him. Or maybe someone else just asked about him on Twitter. Derek Hall could have sold him when he was at his peak. That's it. Otto Kemp didn't follow the typical path of a traditional baseball player. Honestly, I didn't even know who Otto Kemp was news before this year. Before he started tearing up the Arizona Fall League and started popping up on people's radar. Honestly, I had no idea who he was. I don't watch minor league baseball much. But his value is at its peak right now. You can get yourself a bullpen arm with a package centered around Otto Kemp. Do it. Fire Rob Thompson, bring someone in who will play Otto, damn it. Again, sounds like a good idea, Steven. But is Otto Kemp really that good? Are we overvaluing him because of the struggles? He's got 10 home runs. Alec Boehm's got 0. Alec Boehm's a former All-Star. Otto Kemp 25 and just finally showing off in the minors. Let's not get too excited about a minor league player. What's up, David? How you doing? Ownership by who? I'm guessing you're answering the question. What changes are needed to make all of our Philly sports teams elite? Is there a specific owner? I'm assuming you mean Josh Harris. We've had quite a few people suggest that the Eagles or the Flyers need to change ownership too. So which ownership team are you talking about? All the above. Maybe somebody out there wants John Middleton to sell the Phillies. I think he's a pretty solid owner. You want them all changed, or you're just talking the Sixers? Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking the Sixers. Kemp had a ton of injuries. Did he? Okay, well that's news to me. Did not know that. Those two, Flyers and Sixers. It's funny. I was shocked when I ran the tweet on Twitter yesterday about this. Basically the same thing in the show. I expected a lot of Rob Thompsons, Daryl Morey's, etc. And I got those. But the number one answer to this question on Twitter yesterday was Josh Harris. The number one. And I was glad to see that. Because I think that is the biggest issue in Philadelphia sports right now is Josh Harris. Middleton and Laurie. Laurie is obviously the premier sports owner. Jeffrey Laurie might be one of the top 5 owners in all of sports. Whole picture. Team success, community involvement, charities, stadium, like the whole picture. The money he spends. Jeffrey Laurie might be a top 5 owner in sports. John Middleton talks the talk. Does John Middleton walk the walk? I don't know. Logan Hoppe has 9 home runs, is hitting 275. I wish the Phillies had him and said, yeah, I think we're all hoping Logan Hoppe now. But I didn't ask about now. I asked about from 2007 to 2012. We traded away a dozen untouchable top-tier prospects, and not one of them worked out. Logan Hoppe is the first prospect that we've traded away in the last 20 years that actually worked out. And this is what, his first full year starting? So let's just think about it. One prospect over the last 15, 20 years has worked out that we traded away. So you can't tell me you absolutely, without a doubt, cannot trade Crawford, Painter, Aiden Miller, any of them. For the right deal, everybody is tradable in every sport. Hell, my favorite athlete in Philadelphia right now, Jalen Hurts. Even he has a price to get traded. Everybody's got a price. 518. Yeah, we gained one back. We lost one and gained one back. But please, guys, top of the hour. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Hit that share button. And please, please, please subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. YMCA for me, guys. You think they should trade JT after this year and have – I thought he was a free agent after this year. Marshawn, to me, is not an everyday catcher. He's very injury prone. Hence why he hasn't had that opportunity yet to be an everyday starter. The Phillies have a major issue at catcher because they don't have anybody in the minors already. There is a guy in the minors, and I forget his name. It's not drawn coming out right away on my mind. But he's like 19, I think, years old. So he's still like 2 years away at least. So maybe in the not so distant future, you got him. So maybe you find a way to cheaply extend JT for 2 more years after this year's up. I guess. Yeah, 51 more for him. Had the players on the field produced for the Phillies, Middleton would be received better. Winning changes the narrative. Well, I agree. John Middleton's he's always sitting in the bleachers in the upper deck of the stadium, meeting with fans. He does all the outreach and connection with the fans thing like Jeffrey Lurie. He just hasn't made the tough decisions like Jeffrey Lurie would. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie fired 4 years after winning a Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl winning coach in the history of this team, because it was necessary. Howie Roseman is not afraid to eat huge dad cap hits, pay out big contract, extension money up front. Jeffrey Lurie does everything to be the best owner. John Middleton could have paid Taijuan Walker to go away. Now Taijuan Walker's turned the season around, turned his career around potentially. But we didn't see that coming. John Middleton is this close to being on the Jeffrey Lurie level. And it's not even a World Series that he needs to be on that level. It's the making the tough decisions when necessary for the better of the team, even though it might upset some people initially. It might upset the players. It might upset the fans initially. But tough decisions need to be made sometimes. And I don't know if John Middleton's willing to. John Middleton will spend the money, but he won't necessarily spend the money like, how do I say this? Like, he's not eating a lot of money for people that aren't here. Eduardo Tate, is that the young catcher I'm thinking of, Nooms? It sounds familiar. But he's like 19, right? He's still like at a minimum 2 or 3 years away. PR matters. PR master, yes. Jeffrey Lurie is. He is. Jeffrey Lurie is the ideal description of what an owner of a sports franchise should be. Ta-eat. It's pronounced Ta-eat, not Tate. Ta-eat. Okay, gotcha. Is Lurie building a new stadium? I saw an article. There's rumors. Nothing official, Adam. I've also heard rumors that he's not going to build a new stadium and he's just going to make major improvements to the link. I don't know. Nothing is official in that yet. Maybe David in the chat knows more about this, but to my knowledge, there's nothing new on that yet. I know Scott Rowland was a prospect, but I know the Phillies traded him too early. They traded Scott Rowland because he didn't want to be here. He said he was leaving when his contract was up. Scott Rowland didn't want to play at the Vet. He didn't want to play on the Vet turf, and he didn't want to play for Philadelphia. Scott Rowland is loved now, like 20 years later in Philadelphia. People were so happy to see him get in the Hall of Fame, etc. But Scott Rowland hated Philadelphia, talked bad about Philadelphia on a regular basis. People forget that. So while Scott Rowland was a great third baseman, Hall of Fame third baseman, Scott Rowland wasn't trading away somebody too early. He demanded to be out of the city. Great point. Moving on from Topper after 23. I said, David, and this was even before my time at PSN, that after the 22 World Series loss, that Topper shouldn't have been guaranteed his job in 23. That they should have at least interviewed other candidates to see. Rob Thompson caught lightning in a bottle in 2022. He's got one of the highest payrolls in teams. He had 8 All-Stars last year. Of course they're going to win a lot of games. But does he have it? And look, Thompson may prove me wrong and win a World Series this year. But the tough decision would have been maybe Topper's not the guy. And he doesn't even contemplate that idea. As long as his birth certificate is validated, Tahit is in the painter breed. Like, that's special. Interesting. Gotcha. Scotty Rowland hated it here. He absolutely hated it here. It was probably the first true, what was that, like 95, 96 when we got rid of him? Maybe a little earlier than that even. No, maybe a little later than that. Trying to even remember what year it was when we got rid of Scotty Rowland. But I was a teenager. And he was my first truly hated Philly athlete in my time frame. Tahit very possibly could be up next year at 20. Well, that would be interesting. That gives you the ability to get off of JT Realmuto. He fired Doug because his relationship with Wentz was toast. They hired Sirianni because they thought having a guy come in from Frank Reich's camp would appease Wentz. When it didn't, Wentz got dealt. There's a lot of reasons why Doug Peterson was fired. And I'm not disrespecting your story here at all. But Doug Peterson won the first Super Bowl in the history of our franchise, and 4 years later was gone. That takes guts to do that, no matter what Wentz issues were, whatever. It takes guts to do that. The team had only missed the playoffs. They had made the playoffs in 18 and 19. They missed the playoffs once. It all fell apart in 2020. And he said, you're done. Tough decision, but you're done. Love you, you're done. You'll be welcome back when you're retired, but you're done. It's a tough decision. And that's the thing with Jeffrey Lurie versus these other guys, the ability to make those tough decisions. The problem with firing Thompson is the whole staff, at least the older ones, all follow the same guiding Joe G. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that Joe Girardi vibe is still here. The lack of urgency, the lack of that feeling of pressure, it's still here. Roland came up in 2002. Dude, my timeline is way off. What's up, Big Al? My timeline is way off. You know, you get to a certain age, Big Al, and you're just about there too. That everything just kind of like meshes together, years in sports. When you got 40 years of fandom, it just kind of all blends together. Roland, after being traded to St. Louis, said a few months later that it was like he died and went to heaven. Yeah. Scott Rowland hated Philadelphia. Hated it. But now we look back on him, and so many people, now I'm not saying you guys are, but so many people talk so fondly of him. He literally hated it. The Premier Lacrosse League draft starts tonight. The Water Dogs have they didn't lose the draft lottery? So maybe the draft lottery isn't rigged. Or do they not do a draft lottery, K1? If you fire one, you have to fire 3 or 4. Look, they should have already gotten rid of Kevin Long at a minimum. That's for sure. Who did you like better, Girardi or Kapler? Gabe Kapler or Joe Girardi? Couldn't stand either. That's like that. You can't make me choose that, Adam. You can't. You can't. That's an impossible task. Scotty Rowland came up the same year J-Roll was drafted in the second round. Interesting. I did not know that. It took mistakes for Lurie to make the right decision. We used to roast him for being too involved. Absolutely agree. But Jeffrey Lurie, just like he lets his people evolve, he has evolved too. Jeffrey Lurie wasn't always a well-loved owner in the city. And yeah, he was too involved in some of the decision-making. Hell, we got him to thank for J-Jaw, right? Wasn't it his decision to draft J.J. Ortega-Whiteside? Maybe he still is heavily involved. You watch the Eagles unfiltered draft video and how, frustrated Howie looked trying to trade up for Jahad Campbell. And he looks at Jeffrey like, Jeffrey, I'm trying. He's like, I know. Everybody wants to trade down. It doesn't seem like they want to trade down. It still kind of felt a little Jeffrey Lurie heavily involved on that draft video. I think he is the only person in the history of the NFL to have their mommy show up to training camp to hold an umbrella on the sideline for him. Can anybody else say that they were the first to do that? I think J-Jaw was. A lot of folks saw Alshon Jeffrey and J-Jaw. Like, I bought into the J-Jaw hype a little bit, Nooms. I won't lie. I saw the big body, the strong guy. I remember after everyone called him a bust the next year, I was like, he's going to make the roster. He did make a roster. I even wrote I used to write back then. I wrote an article about why J-Jaw will and should make the roster that next year, and he did. So I made some mistakes in the J-Jaw. That's why I bring him up so much, is because it was one of my bad takes. J-Jaw's mom was kind of hot. Was she? I don't even remember what she looks like. Topper put together the staff to coach how Girardi taught them to coach. Look, I mean, Topper was a Joe Girardi guy himself, right? Topper was on Joe Girardi's Yankees staff too, right? So why would we expect anything else from Topper? Topper learned from Joe, Sleepy Joe. Before former President Joe Biden was called Sleepy Joe by Donald Trump, Joe Girardi was called Sleepy Joe. I just had a Facebook memory yesterday pop up on my phone. Me trashing Sleepy Joe. So why would we expect anything else from Rob Thompson when Joe Girardi is the one that taught him how to do it? If Doug got fired after winning the Super Bowl, so is Sirianni safe now? Look, Sirianni's safe for the next couple of years. Sirianni's going to get a big extension at some point this offseason. Kind of shocked it hasn't happened. I guess I had to wait till the draft's out of the way. In the next couple of weeks, I would expect a major Nick Sirianni extension to come through. The thing is, Doug got his ego in the way. Nick Sirianni doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Is Nick Sirianni safe? He's safe for now. But see, the thing is, if they go out and give Nick Sirianni a 4-year, $50 million contract extension this offseason, and then the next 2 years completely fall apart, Jeffrey Lurie would be like, deuces, and we'll move on from him. Because he won't care about paying $25 million to a guy that's not working for him anymore. Yo, if you're not bringing me the best possible chance to win a Super Bowl, you're gone. So Sirianni is safe for now, but he's not safe for the next 10 to 15 years. The photo of J-Jaw and his ma wasn't. It was the great. It's got to be top 5 greatest hilarious things. I'm going to write this down. J-Jaw mom pick top 5. Got to come up with. I don't even know what to call that. Eagles memes. I don't know. I used to say Matt Collins was going to do something special. I mean, Matt Collins honestly has turned into a solid rotational player in the NFL after leaving Philly. Just so you know, they're almost all from Yankees staff at some point, especially Kevin Long. Yeah, exactly. The extension will come after the schedule release during the lull in the NFL. Yeah, absolutely. I figured after the draft, I forgot. Next week, the 14th, which is what? Next Wednesday? Is it next Wednesday or next Thursday, the draft release? Or the schedule release? So that's that. We'll finally find out who we play week 1 of the NFL season. Topper was Joe Girardi's bench coach for years. I mean, there's a reason why Rob Thompson was just always a bench coach. Matt Collins was Josh Huff. Josh Huff, Bryce Huff. Why are all the Huffs that come to Philly not very good? I can't do a top 5 worst Huffs in Philly because there are only 2, Josh Huff and Bryce Huff, right? But yeah. Anyway, guys, we've already passed the top of the hour. It's 20 minutes left in the show. If you haven't already, please hit that like and share button. Please hit subscribe. Would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Who do I want the Eagles to play in week 1? It's a tough question, Mitch. It really is, because I want the Eagles to come out and get a win in week 1. So there's room, like, if you had a power rank the top 5, who they should play, like at the bottom of that top 5 power ranking would be the Bears. But I kind of want the Bears because I know we'd win that game. I think the most entertaining options for TV ratings for both fan bases to kick off an NFL season would be Eagles versus Detroit or Eagles versus Washington. They would be your best option. I would like it to be Detroit. And then me and Jason can have a big live viewing party together of our two teams doing battle. But yeah, I would want it to be the Bears to guarantee a victory. But Lions and Washington are probably the best options for ratings. And, you know, I'll say this. Here's a conspiracy theorist kind of thing. And you love your conspiracy theories, Mitch. The NFL won't put Washington as week 1 because they want to give Washington the best chance to beat the Eagles. And week 1 might not be it. They don't want to make Washington look bad on the national stage against Philly. Phil's tried this with Pete McCannon. Charlie Manuel was also a bench coach before managing. A lot of guys are bench coaches first. Meanwhile, Topper won a World Series. Yeah, look, I get it. Charlie Manuel's different. I mean, he coached a lot of different places, and I think he was a manager before. Everybody's a bench coach before they're manager, but how many of them are 30-year bench managers become before their first chance? Eagles Lions would bring massive numbers. It would. I think Washington would as well, but I think Lions would bring the biggest number. Two young stud teams with huge offenses. The ratings would be top tier for Eagles Lions. 2 words, Peter Principle. I want the Giants to have them watch the banner raised, yeah. If it was last year, if Saquon was just coming in for his first year, then that would make sense. But, yeah, no, that's not it. Jaden Daniels and Washington going to take a step back. That's what everyone says. I say, hold up off on that. Just because the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud took a step back last year, doesn't mean Washington is this year. I hope they do. They might, but I'm not banking on it happening. Who's road opponents? What was your last comment? Who are you talking about? I know they are road opponents too. Not even sure. Anyway. Got sidetracked with the schedule, and I love that. And I can't wait for the schedule release. Although, I'm telling you, when we do the schedule release recap show, I don't know whether I'll do a live show during the schedule release, or I go live right after it's released, or I wait till the morning show to break it down. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes in 2 weeks. We'll have to see what my schedule. Oh, I actually got golf the next day. So maybe I won't be doing the show the next day, so we'll go live for the schedule release part. There we go. Schedule played. It's Wednesday next week. We'll go live for the schedule release because there won't be a show the next day. Done. I'm not banking on that Washington step back because they drafted well. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree with you on this stuff. Everyone just assumes because C.J. Stroud took a step backwards, and his step backwards still won in the division. Just so you know. They also had a lot of injuries, Houston, on their team last year. Washington, everybody just assumes Jane Daniels is going to follow the same path. And I don't think it's necessarily true. Jalen Hurts' first full year as a starter, 2021, made the playoffs. He made the Super Bowl the next year. Just saying. I would love to see them play Green Bay. Oh, you're saying you wish it was Green Bay's a road opponent. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool to beat Green Bay again. I think I just locked it in. We will do a live schedule release party. We'll break it all down as it's happening. You will not get a schedule or a record prediction from me. You don't get a record for the new people. I mean, K1, you've been around a while. You know this. I only give out one record prediction, and it's the week of the season starting. So you won't get my record prediction until week 1. But we'll break it down. We'll talk about it. We'll see what it is. We'll look at the big matchups and stuff like that. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. Guys, I got one other thing I want to bring to the table. Well, I'll save the other one for tomorrow. I'll save the Brandon Graham conversation for tomorrow. Mitchie Poo posted something on Twitter this morning. And I was thinking about it last night already, but I'm just going to give him credit because it made his comment on Twitter reminded me to write down something I'd already been thinking about. So I'm going to give Mitchie Pooh some credit for this closing topic of the day. Okay? Knicks beat the Celtics last night in overtime, right? And I feel icky on the inside right now. Okay? Because there are so many Sixers fans rooting for the Knicks in that series. And I hate the Celtics as much as the Knicks. But I will not root or cheer for either team in that series. And the fact that so many Sixers fans were pulling for the Knicks to win last night. The same Sixers fans that bashed the Knicks all year long. The same Sixers fans that hated Josh Harris and the Nova Knicks all last playoff run, last year. And they're cheering for the Knicks over the Celtics. Like, I hate the Celtics. But honestly, if I had to pick, I'd probably rather root for the Celtics over the Knicks. Mitchie Pooh didn't unlock Rant Phil. All right, I was already planning on this topic at some point. I just wanted to make sure he didn't. Mitchie Pooh's one of those guys that if I start talking about something, he would say, look, I posted it first. That's what Mitchie Pooh would do. So I'm giving him credit because he reminded me of something I didn't have in my notebook that I wanted to cover. But the fact that so many Sixers fans were hyped up for the Knicks win and comeback win last night made me want to throw up. Next Monday is the NBA draft lottery. Are you feeling lucky? Remember when Pat Croce won the lottery and drafted Iverson? Sixers should pay him to do it. Yeah, there you go. Is Pat Croce, how's he doing? I know he was going through some very serious cancer treatments late last year. I don't know how Pat Croce's health is these days, if you could do it again or not. Just saying. And they've already announced Jarrett McCain will be there for it. It's likely rooting for the Mets. It's like, yeah, like, no, I'm not rooting for one or the other. Screw that. I am not rooting for the Knicks. I don't care if it means the Celtics win. You can't talk trash about Jalen Brunson and the Nova Knicks for over a year and then root for them because they're playing the Celtics. Honestly, I can't stand Tatum and Brown, but you know what? I have less hate for them than I do the Knicks right now. No, I'm not rooting for the Knicks to win that series. Yeah. It's absolutely a symbol for why the sport's broken. Nooms? No, not doing it. I don't want either one to win. No. I mean, somebody's got to win. Honestly, I prefer the Celtics to win over the Knicks. I'm just saying. It's hilarious how many Sixers fans were on social media last night cheering on the Knicks, and it makes you want to gag. I'm rooting for the NBA season to end finally. Yeah, me too. Me too. Mitchie Pooh's a great guy. I love Mitchie Pooh. Does this mean I get to be on the show now? No. You're never allowed on the show. NBA going to fix the lottery so the Sixers don't get a first-round pick. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right on that. I just don't understand it. If somebody out there is rooting for the Knicks over the Celtics, I'd love to know why. It makes no sense to me. Literally, none. Why? Why would you do it? Celtics, yeah, they're bitter rivals. But the Knicks are what's wrong with basketball. Jalen Brunson's what's wrong with basketball. The Nova Knicks. You had the Villanova Wildcats, the mainline team, a Philly college, rooting on the Knicks during their series against the Sixers last year. And we trashed them for that. Now we're supposed to love them? Get the fook out of here with that. Because the Celtics are an embodiment of evil. I'd rather I hold on. Let me figure out how to answer that. No, they're not the embodiment of evil. Maybe the Knicks are. The Celtics are like, trying to think of something. The bad guy that's really right. I don't know. They're not the embodiment. I would say that the Knicks are more the embodiment of evil. I'm rooting for the Celtics because Stephen A. Smith is a corporate. Oh, yeah. And that's another reason right there. Stephen A. Smitty right there. I hate brain. Yeah. Again, you use the word hate too much. Hate's too strong of a word, Anthony. You can't hate. There's too much hate in the world. You could dislike or disagree, but hate's too strong. You hate Bohm. You hate Brunson. Stop hating. Start loving. But anyway, I get what you're saying, Anthony. Brunson is what's wrong with the NBA. And yet everybody was rooting for him last night, which is ridiculous. I would love to know how, after what they pulled, that the Sixers were even allowed to get a first overall. Yeah, true. Celtics are like the Patriots. Knicks are like the Cowboys. I think that's actually a very fair. Maybe I wouldn't say the Patriots. Have they won as many titles as the Patriots? Let's see. The Celtics are like the Chiefs, and the Knicks are like. I mean, the Cowboys haven't made the playoffs in like 300, or made a deep run in like 300 years. At least the Knicks have made some runs. The Knicks might be like the Cowboys, maybe Washington. The Knicks are like the Bills, and the Celtics are like the Chiefs. Something like that. But I get what you're saying, and you're right. At least the Celtics have won. The Knicks are dislikable, have the number one player, the blueprint on what's wrong with the NBA, and have not won anything. If I ever find myself rooting for the Celtics, I'm checking into. So you'd rather root for the Knicks, is what you're saying? Strongly dislike. Yeah, strongly dislike. Or despise. I see your other thing. I hate the word hate. I really, truly do. Hate almost cracks my top 5 do not like words. There's certain words you just don't say in life. Not going to explain them. I think you know. But hate's almost on that list. Knicks are the Mets. Yeah. Lots of hype. Never come through. Knicks haven't won a championships before. Exactly. They haven't won. They even have made any finals in how long? But let me tell you something. I'm not rooting for the Knicks over the Celtics. Just because the Celtics have beaten us how many times in the last decade. I'm just not going to watch the NBA playoffs so they don't get my... Look, I'm going to watch some. Probably none in the Eastern... I'll probably watch the Western Conference games right now. I can't watch Knicks Celtics. Now, whoever moves on, I'll watch to see them lose. The Cavs-Pacers series is as boring as can be, although they got nice young players there. Fan bases also play into this as well, for sure. 73, I mean, tells you something. That's even worse than the Cowboys. The NBA has caused me to hate professional basketball. The Knicks are one of the reasons why. It is worse than the Flyers. God damn. Damn. Anyway, that's what, 27? That's 52 years? Damn. You would think they've won 27 titles the way their fans act. Sixers start at the hate, for sure. That is for sure. We're actually doing pretty good on viewership. So, guys, there should be at least 15 to 20 likes. So if you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe. Coming to the final 6 minutes. I just had to get into this. Because I just can't take the Knicks' love from Sixers Nation. When I was in college, it was all about a tie and injuries. Right? My favorite word is disdain. Yeah, disdain. Disdain just doesn't roll off the tongue very well. But I get it. I just hate the word hate. I strongly dislike the word hate. I dislike Josh Harris. So do I. Looking forward to the NBA lockout so they can try to fix the broken league. I don't know, Rick, when the next CBA is up, but I still firmly sit there saying that we are cruising to a major lockout. Who here is going to watch the Battle Flyers netminder cast-offs, Toronto and Florida? Is Bobrovsky? I didn't even know. Yeah. We started the show talking about how Ilya Brizgalov was still being paid by the Flyers after all these years. If you want to talk Flyers goaltending, Josh Harris is close to the top of my dislike list. He is very top for me as well. I'm not stupid. K1, not stupid. I think you can guess. It's funny if if Brian's even slightly in the background listening. Remember when there used to be that list of words on WDNR's wall? Here are the words you're not allowed to say on the radio. Me and Brian O'Rourke, who's in the chat sometimes, we had a radio show in college, and with Richie and Giordano. And on the wall, there were the words you're not allowed to say. We would start every show off by saying, here are the words we're not allowed to say. And even some of those words we wouldn't say. And then we'd follow it up with, and here's our first song, At a Medium Pace. And you're a special person if you know what at a medium pace is. That's what college radio stations are all about. Meanwhile, Berube should be the head coach of the Flyers, but Briere didn't have the marbles to fire Torts. Craig Berube, I don't want anybody that had anything to do with Philadelphia in the past. I want zero connection to the Philadelphia Flyers organization as the next head coach. When two teams like the Knicks and Celtics play each other, tie and injuries. Okay, now people just root for, yeah, exactly. Rooting for both buses to crash. Nobody to die, but them all to break their ankles. So nobody can play, and they both have to forfeit, and the Pacers Cavaliers become the conference finals now. Yes. Mitchie Poo. I always say, Mitchie Poo, thank you. You are the man, Mitchie Poo. You know I got nothing but love for you. The Chief got the last laugh as a non-flyer, just like almost every other. Yeah. We will all remember where we were. I mean, I'm going to forget about this moment 5 minutes from now. Good for him. I just want some. I need fresh. Away from the status quo of the Flyers. For decades, we complained about bringing in retreads from the Flyers' history. I don't want it. I want someone that's never played or coached in Philadelphia ever before to be the next head coach. Plain and simple. But we all know it's going to be Rick Tocchet. It shouldn't be. It is what it is. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to close this one down for the day. Time to get to work tonight, 6 p.m., K1's favorite show, Fairway to Heaven. We'll be live talking the Truist Championship, which is here in Philly. And somehow I'm not going to it. And I have no idea how, why, what. Yeah, I know. You mentioned Sullivan's name a lot. And I'm fine with that. Fine with that. He didn't play and coach in Philly before. We'll be talking Truist Championship tonight. Jason Sullivan, Steven Fuentes, and myself. Can't wait. Talk the Truist Championship. Got some interesting. I actually got a good golf conversation point away from gambling on golf to discuss tonight, K1. So, yeet. Isn't that how you do it? Oh, no, you got to get the hands right? Y'all have a bazoo hoop kind of day for sure. Savannah James sat in for King James at the Met Gala. Her name is Queen James. Okay. The Met Gala stuff drives me nuts. The outfits drive me nuts. Although I will say, 98.7% of the outfits celebrities wear at the Met Gala are just insane. Let me tell you something. Jalen Hurts and Bree Barrow, whew, they're one fine-looking couple right there. Bree, smoke show. Not going to lie. Jalen Hurts, stud. For sure. Class, through and through, both of them. I was not happy when they fired Lavi, but now it ain't the time to right that wrong. Yeah, I saw one or two people say they should bring back Laviolette back, but yeah. Another Flyers Boys Club choice, another 5 years of mediocrity. Yeah. Who would win at golf 1-on-1? Happy Gilmore or Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods. Well, current Tiger Woods, no, because his Achilles is in 1,000 pieces. You should find. I can't. I literally am working open to close Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So working open to close the pizza shop the next 5 days. Well, today I'm only there till 4 because I got golf tonight. But after tonight, I'm working 5. Literally, not this past Sunday, last Sunday will be my last day off for like 3 weeks. So, yeah, it's the way it is with the pizza shop. Should have never fired Lavi and wish that Hackstall had as short a leash as Lavi did. Fair comment. Why would Laviolette come back to a team that just it's a different team now? Different management? I don't know. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Tonight, 6 p.m., Fairway to Heaven. Tomorrow, we'll be back. Tomorrow, Martin, I got to write down that note. Don't forget to hit up Martin Frank. Martin Frank will be on the show tomorrow. Okay? And I got another special guest. I will confirm today for Thursday's show. We'll get into the media side of things in sports with our Thursday guest. Thursday will be for Martin Frank, top 5 most visited guest on this show. Thursday's guest, First Timers Club. We'll see. So bring your Eagles questions for Martin Frank for tomorrow. We'll have him on for 20, 25 minutes, talking all things Eagles related. And he actually does a little bit of Phillies coverage now, Martin Frank. So we'll get some of his thoughts on the Phillies as well. Under Lavi, they played with some jam. I love it. The jam comment, man. Love it. We're going to wrap this show up with some jam here today. With The Jam, which is the new intro and outro music. But with that being said, guys, bird is the word. That's right. Everybody have a great Tuesday. We'll see you guys tonight and then again tomorrow. Go Birds, guys. Bubbles up.